Hello, in this video I'm going to show you exactly how you can set up your diet to get a shredded six pack this summer. My name is Bradleywalkr, I'm an online coach and this is the second episode of the Ocean Beach Bod Shred series. This series is going to be all about showing you how to get shredded for the summer to have the best physique of your life. In this video I'm going to show you how to find out how many calories, how much protein, carbs and fats you need in your diet. Make sure you stick around to the very end of the video so you can see exactly how to ensure you're getting the results you're looking for. So just before I get into the video and show you how to set up your diet, I just want to tell you exactly why I'm doing this. So with all my clients, what I tend to find is the biggest problem is their diet. And the truth is, without the diet being set up correctly, you'll never build the physique that you want. No amount of training can out-train that bad diet. The reason that I'm doing this series is so I can show you exactly how I do it, and then you can follow along so we can both get shredded for the summer and you can build your best physique to date. This series is all about you and not about me. I'm just using myself to show you how I do it, but you can just apply the exact same things that I'm doing to yourself. Plus, I would absolutely love if you reached out to me in a couple of months' time and basically told me you got your best physique to date. That would mean the world to me. In my opinion, this stuff on nutrition should be taught in school. So since they're not doing it, I just thought I would take the task upon my own hands and show you how you can take control of your body, the way you look, how you feel and overall your actual health. Because I believe everybody should be able to be in control of the way they look and their health. So the first thing we need to do is find your maintenance calories. Maintenance calories are the amount of calories you need to maintain your body weight. Once we find out your maintenance calories, we can then decide if we want to add some on to make you gain weight or take some away to make you lose weight. Literally all it takes to lose body fat is eating under your calories, right? But it's not a case of just drastically under eating. You want to make a smart, calculated decision to how much you're eating under your maintenance calories. But fat loss does not get any simpler than that. Eat in a calorie deficit and you will lose body fat. So how we find your maintenance calories is by using a calculation. Now this calculation is not going to give us an exact number that you need to use because there's a couple of variables that basically affect how that calculation can go. So you can have two people with the same weight, same height, etc. but maybe they have different metabolisms. Therefore, one might need more food, one might need less food. But nevertheless, it gives us a number close enough to it where we can kind of work off, and if we need to, we can then adjust in the future. If this number that you use does not work, again, stick around to the end and you'll find out exactly how you just adjust it to make it go and work for you. So, how we work out your maintenance calories, so I'm just going to write it down for myself, is by first of all finding your body weight in pounds. So I was 191 pounds. So depending on how active you are as a person, you're either going to go up towards 16 or down towards 14. Now me myself, I'm a very active person. I'm training 5 days a week, do cardio 1 day a week, and I usually walk quite a bit as well. So if you're somebody that's more active, again head towards the 16. If you're somebody that's a little bit less active, maybe works an office job or whatever it may be, go towards the 14. So if I do 191 pounds times 16, so that gives me 3,056 calories, okay? Another factor to take into consideration when you're looking at about times that be either 14 or 16 is think about yourself as an individual. Are you somebody who has a lot more muscle mass, or are you somebody who carries a bit more actual body fat? I would recommend if you have a bit more body fat, go a bit lower down. If you have more muscle mass, go a little bit higher, because extra muscle mass requires extra energy to maintain that. Now that I have my maintenance calories of 3,056, now what I need to do is figure out how much of a deficit I'm going into. Now, depending on the person, the deficit will range. Now I recommend if you're somebody who is already pretty lean, maybe say you can somewhat see some sort of definition on your stomach, maybe go in a 300 calorie deficit, or if you're someone who's maybe a little bit heavier, go up to 500. Or again, if you're somebody who maybe carries quite a lot of body fat, I would go into about a 700 calorie deficit. Now, I know I've only got 13 weeks to get at this. So because I have less time, I'm actually going to go between 300 and 500. So I'm going to go into a 400 calorie deficit. So now all I need to do is subtract 400 from this. Equals 2656 is my calories, okay? So I'm on 2,656 calories. We'll just call that 650 just to make it a nice clean number. So a 400 calorie deficit is relatively big to start on, but as I only have 13 weeks, time is of the essence. On average per week, you want to look to lose anywhere between 0.5 to 1% of your body weight. So if you're £100, you want to lose between half a pound to £1 per week. That is the kind of recommended amount of the kind of maximum and sort of minimums that you're looking for. So me being £191, me losing up to about £2 per week is pretty good, so I'll take that. One thing I would recommend, if you're going to be dieting for a longer time, I would always recommend you start off with a smaller deficit and make it gradually bigger over time. And what this basically means is, as you're getting deeper into your diet, you have more calories to take away from, rather than if you start on a big deficit to start with, you've got less calories to actually take away from. It means your food's going to get less and less and less quicker, and you don't want that. So in regards to weight loss, calories are the most important thing, right? But when you're wanting to drop body fat and maintain muscle mass, a very close second is your protein intake. Now, protein intake can be made complicated to work out, or it can be made very simple to go and work out. I'm just going to give you a little example of both. So first thing with your protein, again, you want to find out your body weight. So I am £191. So I'll first of all run through the simplest method. So what I can do to start with that is I can do either 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if I'm 191 grams of protein. So I would recommend this for someone who, again, is more leaner, where they don't really have, maybe say, love handles, they can just maybe not see any definition on their abs, right? But relatively like in shape or athletic, whatever you want to call that. If you're somebody with a higher body fat, you basically want to look at a lower number. So I would recommend about 0.8 to maybe even a little bit less, okay? So 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, if for 191, would be 152 grams, okay? So right there you can see that the range is actually massive, so I can have 191 to 152 grams. Now, as I'm relatively lean, I would always go up towards that higher mark, and as my diet goes on, I would actually up my protein a little bit more. Now, that's the simplest way to work it out. So the more complex way of working out your protein intake is to do with your lean body mass. All this basically means is your body without any fat mass on it, mainly just looking at your muscle tissue weight, as well as your skeleton and all that sort of stuff, but that does not matter. So to find out your lean body mass, you need to know a rough estimate of your body fat percentage. Now, I know I'm 18% body fat, so I'm going to look at £191 times 0.82, because that will leave 18%, and that gives me 156 pounds of lean body mass. Now, to work out that when I've got a lean body mass, I'm going to actually do it by, to start with, times 1.1, and then maybe after the first month of dieting, about times 1.2. So if I times that by 1.1, it gives me 170 grams to start. So that's cool there, and then as I go into it more, I'll go up to 1.2, and that equals 187 grams. Hopefully my maths is correct there. So that kind of gives me now a more accurate range of how much protein I want. In my opinion, if you are someone who isn't like a really high level bodybuilder, athlete, or whatever it may be, I would just look at your body weight and times it by that, because it's much simpler. If, however, you have access to your body fat levels, I would do it by the body fat measurement, because it's just a little bit more accurate for yourself. Again, I think the simple method is effective. It's definitely effective, so I wouldn't overcomplicate it for yourself. Following the calories and protein, the third most important thing, and again it's very close up there, is going to be your fat intake. Now, the reason your fat intake is important is for a ton of things. First of all, fat is not bad. Although most people will have you think that fat is bad, it is not, okay? Fat is important for helping you feel full. Also good for hormone production, so think about testosterone. Also for cognitive function, so like your brain. So there's a couple of things that fat is important for, but there's an absolute ton more reasons why to have fat. All you need to know really is that it is important for you and your health. Now, there is no maximum amount of fat that you are supposed to have, and that's it, but there is a minimum. Now, the reason there is a minimum, again, is because if you're eating too low fat on a constant basis, your hormones, brain function, and so much more will start to be affected more and more on a daily basis. So I always recommend setting a minimum you want to hit per day, every day. And if it drops below for one day, up them the following. So your fat calculation is very, very simple. All you need to do is, again, find your body weight in pounds. So I'm 191, and then I'm going to times it by either 0.3 or 0.4. So if I'm 191 pounds, that gives me 57 grams. So 57 grams per day is going to be my minimum. So for me, I'm going to work my minimum off is 57 grams per day. Now, in my opinion, I think the minimum you should always try and hit. However, if you want to go higher above that, as long as you're within your calories and you hit your protein intake, that is perfectly fine as well. Some people also like to go high fat, lower carb approach when dieting, and again I find that's perfectly fine as long as you're always hitting that minimum fat intake. I don't think there's any problems with that, and it's just down to personal preference. Then finally we're going to move on to carbs. Now to me, carbs are important, yes, but also they're probably the only macronutrient that you can go without being any major problems. So there is no minimum amount of carbs you're meant to have. However, carbs are very important because carbs go into glycogen. Glycogen is basically stored energy in your muscle, and when you're lifting weights, that is the immediate energy source your body is tapping into. So higher carb intake usually equates to better performance in the gym. Now that's not always and not everybody, but a lot of people tend to find that way. So I usually find there's two camps, people who like high fat and people who like high carbs. I'm in the high carbs sort of side of that argument. Now there is two ways to work out the carbs, but I'm just going to keep it very, very simple for you, okay? Now, first one is if you're using MyFitnessPal, set your protein intake, set your fat intake, and set the rest of your calories to carbs, and that's it. It stops you having to work out all the calculations. Or the other way you can go and do it is you can find out how many calories is in your protein. So what you do for this is you times the amount of protein you're having. So for example, if I use 187 grams and then I times it by 4, because there's 4 calories in every gram of protein. So if I do 187 times 4, that equals to 748 calories. And then if I do for my fats, I work out 57 grams times 9, and that equals 513. So there is 4 calories in every gram of protein, there is 9 calories in every gram of fats, and in carbs there's also another 4 calories in every gram of carbs. So all I need to do now is I just basically add 743 plus 513, and that equals to 1,286. So then basically what I want to do is I want to take away my calorie intake, so it's 2650 minus 1,286, and that equals to 1,364 calories left, right? And all I do now is divide that by 4, and that's going to give me 341 grams of carbs. And that's how you work it out the long, complicated way. I recommend if you're using MyFitnessPal, just go the simple way. So you now know your calorie intake, protein intake, fat intake, and carb intake. Perfect. Now the next thing you want to do is actually go and make sure it's going to work. So how we basically make sure it works is by, first of all, weighing yourself on the first day. So weigh yourself in the morning, the day that you start, and find out your weight. Say you're like me, 191 pounds. Then what you want to do for the next 2 weeks is weigh yourself every single day. First thing in the morning on an empty stomach, after you've been to the toilet, before you get a drink of water, and this is going to give you the closest possible reading to your body weight. Take a note of your body weight every single day, and after you look at it over 2 weeks, you should see a difference in your weight coming down. Now the reason I'm saying 2 weeks and not 1 week is because the first week you usually find there could be a big massive drop, or it might even stay the same for whatever reason. So if you take it over 2 weeks, you get to see a better idea of how it's actually working as it's over a longer time period. So just while I'm on checking your progress, one thing I recommend you 100% do before you go and start is take a progress picture in good lighting on the first day, and then on the 2 week mark, take another progress picture and review how you look, because your weight might stay the same, but your body might drastically change. So it's good to have 2 ways of basically reviewing your progress overall. Now, over the first 1, 2, and 3 weeks, what you can probably expect is for the first 1 week, or maybe even 2 weeks, you'll see quite a big weight drop, but as you get into your 3rd week, it should start to steady out. And again, you want to be looking to lose roughly 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week max. Now it's time for the bonus tip, and this is basically how you ensure that you do get the result that you're looking for. If after the 2 weeks check your weight and nothing has changed, you look at your progress pictures and nothing has changed, all you need to do is adjust your caloric intake. So what I recommend, if your weight stayed the exact same after the first 2 weeks, is by dropping it by another 300 calories. As I said at the start, these calculations are not exact and it's just a rough number to work off, but at least now you know that the number you're working with doesn't work, so it's time to go a bit lower. And again, I recommend just dropping by about 300 to start with. You don't want to end up eating very little foods to start with. So after you change your calories, weigh yourself again for a week and you should see a difference happen there. If not, drop it a little bit again. When you're dropping down your calories, I recommend you cut away from your carbs, just because again you need that minimum level of fat and you need the protein to maintain muscle mass. And there you have it, that's how you ensure you're getting the best possible results. Now what I just want to say before you go is diet is 100% the best way to go lose weight, tone up and get shredded. The reason it's the best is because you can't out-train a bad diet no matter what you do. Doesn't matter how many runs you're going to do or whatever it may be, if you're eating like crap, your body is going to look like crap. So diet is the best way to always use. Make sure you're using that for the get-go and you'll see insane results very quickly. Eventually, the deeper you get into your diet, you will notice your calories getting lower and lower and lower. And then at that point, you can start looking at adding in cardio to burn more calories. Now, cardio isn't there just to burn calories, it's there to make your heart and lung healthy. Okay, so sorry if that angle's slightly changed, my camera just cut out there. Nothing worse when that happens. So to summarise, calories are number 1 for dropping down body weight. Protein is a close number 2 because it helps you maintain muscle mass, ensures you burn only fat. Fats, you have a minimum intake because it helps maintain bodily functions, so they're important. With carbs, you have no minimum or no max. And what I personally do is let my carbs fluctuate up and down, same with my fats, as long as I'm hitting that minimum fat intake every day. Review your progress on a weekly and 2-weekly basis. So check your weight on a weekly basis and check your progress pictures on a 2-weekly basis and review before you actually make any changes to your diet, because your weight could stay the same but your body could drastically change. If you are not seeing results within the first 2 weeks, simply cut down your calories by about 300 and then review again after a week and you should see a difference. And you're only adding in cardio if needed. Cardio isn't there to burn calories, it's all about using your diet to be in that deficit and burn fat. However, towards the end, it is okay to add in cardio to burn some extra calories so you can keep your food that little bit higher. Just to reiterate this, with losing weight, less calories isn't always better. You want to have enough food to fuel your workouts and maintain your shape while dropping down the fat. So less calories is not always better. So the last thing I want to say is if you need any help, please leave questions down below, because the whole point of this series is for me to get you shredded. So leave any questions you have and I'll be sure to help you out in there. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and tell your friends, and I look forward to seeing you shredded in Ibiza.